The best Premier in the country, Premier Doug Ford.
Appreciate it. That's coming from the best Attorney General in the country and Solicitor General. And so, good morning, everyone, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. And it's great to be here with Ministers Kersner, Hamid, Downey, Gulateri, and P.A. Anand. And I'm so glad to also be joined by a champion. He's an absolute champion, Chief Nish, who's a champion for our police, but here in Peel and right across our province, as well as Mark Baxter from the Police Association of Ontario. And Nando, you're doing a great job here as the chair of Peel Region. Keep going, my friend. Just 2 months ago, our government received a strong mandate from the people of Ontario to make sure that we protect Ontario. It's a mandate to protect our workers and businesses from tariffs and economic uncertainty. But it's also a mandate to protect our communities and make our streets safe. Because right now, the federal government's broken bail system is letting far too many criminals back onto the streets just days or even hours right after being arrested. Enough is enough. At the provincial level, we are doing everything in our power to strengthen bail and keep criminals off the streets. We launched new bail teams made up of special prosecutors just over a year ago, and they're already producing real results. These teams have been involved in more than 3,000 cases, helping keep people accused of serious crimes behind bars and helping resolve these cases faster than ever before. That's why today we're making them permanent with dedicated, intensive, serious, violent crime bail teams across Ontario. We're also improving and increasing the collection of forfeited bail money from people who breach their bail conditions and their sureties, and launching a comprehensive overview of the bail system to ensure it is effective. And we're working to establish a new user fee system for people who are ordered by a court to wear ankle monitors so that they are paying for their own devices instead of the taxpayers. And our intention is for the proceeds to cover the cost of the ankle monitoring program and support victims of crime. My friends, we're doing whatever it takes to make our streets, our homes, and our communities safe again, but we cannot do it alone. That's why, once again, I'm calling on the federal government to pull its weight and keep our streets safe. With a newly elected federal government now in place, we are counting on them to bring in stronger penalties and more restrictive conditions for bail so violent repeat offenders stay behind bars and off our streets. We're stepping up, we're cracking down on criminals, and we're standing with law-abiding people of Ontario. I want to thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Chief, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Premier, and I just want to commend you and your government for putting the resources towards what's posing the greatest risk to our community. We in Peel, within the last month, one of our officers stopped an individual in a vehicle that had a loaded firearm, was already on release for charges of firearms, was sitting with their surety in the vehicle, and had an ankle monitor on it. And that is just an anecdotal story of what happens here in Peel on a day-to-day basis. Far too many people suffer in silence by those that are harming our community, and the time for change is obviously right before us now. So these proposed reforms are absolutely what we need. The tireless work of our officers on a day-to-day basis can't go in vain, and so these changes will definitely strengthen our ability to keep violent offenders in custody. But it also puts the focus back on the victims, those that are being harmed in our community. Our communities do deserve a system that is better for them, that keeps dangerous offenders behind bars where they belong. And so with that, I do want to thank Premier Ford, Attorney General, Solicitor General, MPP Hamid. Thank you for this announcement today. On behalf of the policing community, we're absolutely appreciative of this step forward to enhance the system. And I think with that, I guess we're opening up to questions.
That's right. We'll now take questions from the media. Media present can line up behind me and ask their questions through the microphone. As a friendly reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet before your question. First question.
Hi, Premier. Randy Rath from CHCH
Hey,
TV.
Randy, how you doing?
Good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Today, the Financial Accountability Office put out a report that says Ontario is going into a recession in 2025, and in 2026, potential growth will be cut in half because of the tariffs. All of this is a result of tariffs. Is it inevitable that Ontario is going to be headed into a recession this year? And is this going to affect government revenues to the point where you won't be able to do all the program spending that you foresee?
Well, great question, Randy. I'm going to disagree with that. Let's see what happens. We're continuing to see investment in our province. Minister Vic Fideli just came back from a trip with $400 million of commitment to create 1,000 jobs. The week before that, it was over $1 billion of investment, creating another 1,700 jobs. But say the tariffs will hurt? Absolutely, they'll hurt. But I have confidence that we'll work things out with the United States, with President Trump. We have a newly elected government federally. I'm sure the Prime Minister will be going down there to talk to President Trump. The only thing that we will accept is zero tariffs. It's simple as that. The supply chain is so integrated that it's just going to hurt Canadians and Americans. So I'm confident. I really am. I always look at the glasses half full, and no one can predict the future, but I'm predicting that we're going to do better than other jurisdictions around the world and around North America.
On another topic, was related actually, it's Opposition Day at Queen's Park, and the opposition is going to introduce a bill that would require retailers to label what is made in Canada on their shelves, what's made in the States, and require big box stores to clearly mark when prices have gone up more than 2% within a 7-day period. Is that necessary, or is market demand for Canadian goods just doing that already?
The market's already doing it. They've been doing it for ages. I don't know where they're coming up with this. Maybe they don't shop in local stores. Maybe they buy online. But you go into any retailer, and the people have spoken. They hear them. I've talked to all the big retailers. And you go down any aisle, you're going to see Canadian flags, made in Canada, and as well, you just turn around the package and it will show where it's produced, either here or the U.S. or somewhere else in the world. So I think the companies have listened to their consumers, and they're doing it already.
Good morning, Premier. This is Nitin Chopra from Prime Asia. Premier, the government data suggests that there is 200 plus deaths per day by the use of illegal substances, including opium, fentanyl, opioid here in Ontario. That data is on the government website. So for last year's, whatever government step has taken to reduce this, because we have seen lot of shootouts, lot of parents, they lost their kids inside the home shootings. What are the steps government has taken into stopping these fentanyl, and it is selling openly here in the market?
Yeah, well, one big problem is something called safe supply under the federal government. There's been many stories in the media about this, that drug users will go in, get their supply of whatever, free supply, and then go out and sell it back on the streets. This is the most crazy program I've ever heard in my life. It's like giving an alcoholic a free pass to the LCBO. No, these people need help, and that's why we have heart hubs that we're putting right across the entire province, spending over $550 million to help people get off drugs, get back on their feet, find a job, find a place to live. And we want to arrest the people, these drug dealers, and keep them in jail. But guess what happens? They go to court, and the judges slap them on the wrist, let them out the next day just to go back and do the exact same thing. You know, we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at fighting crime. We need the federal government to do the same thing. We need mandatory sentencing, that if someone commits a heinous crime, I'm not talking about stealing a chocolate bar, I'm talking about drugs and heinous crimes, they need to stay in jail.
Premier, another concern, the residents, because we are the media, we bring that concern in front of you. In your first term, you mentioned to fix the landlord tenant board. And the second term also, we hear the same concern from the residents. Landlord says they don't have any rights because if case goes to the LTP and it comes in the favor of a victim, then victim has to go to the small courts to follow that case. So they are into the court system for approximately 18, 16 months or 24 months. Then also they don't get a justice. The landlords, they don't get their money, what they lost in the unpaid rents. How to fix that system? And we have Attorney General also here. We would like to hear from them also. Is that hard to fix the LTV system here in Ontario? Thank you.
Well, before I pass it to the Attorney General, you know, we have some of the, well, we do have the toughest tenant laws in the entire country, bar none. But the pendulum has swung the other way now. People are taking advantage, and I'm not talking about the big landlords that own 2,000 units or whatever. I'm talking about the mom and pops that have saved everything throughout their lives to have another income property, and these people are going in and just totally taking advantage of them. I heard a story yesterday, and this is staggering. A 96-year-old woman had tenants downstairs. They had a flooding problem. So what she said is, I'm going to move in with one of my kids until we get this fixed. Well, it took a couple months, 2 or 3 months, and the tenants moved upstairs and everything's hunky-dory. This poor lady goes back and they locked her out of her own home. They got it fixed, but you got to be kidding me. These are the problems that we're seeing over and over again, the abuse that some tenants taking advantage, little mom and pop folks that are just trying to make a living. They've had to take other mortgages out on their property. You know, we're fixing it, but I'm going to hand it over to the Attorney General, and we have to make changes, and we need to make them immediately. And I know the Attorney General is working on it as we speak.
Good to see you, Nitin. You know, the Landlord Tenant Board, we've doubled the number of full-time adjudicators. We had a backlog through COVID. That's down significantly. The